The myriad souls lie prostrate. Howling knocks on the door from beneath. Tangible usurps the intangible. Qui Sartushtai bears witness. The black crown imprisoned, the offender perpetually innocent. Because kings are born before immortality. Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are going to be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the main story of Arknights. Episode 13, aka Chapter 13, The Purple That Is Passion. Now before we begin, I hope you all enjoyed the cold opener for this episode. For those of you who have been with the channel for a while, you might be aware of the fact that if I do, and I very rarely do these types of cold openers for an episode, there might be some spicy shit later in. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope it spooked you, cause I do like to break up the usual intros from time to time, when it's, you know, appropriate. But before we begin as well, to anybody who is new to Arknights, and this channel especially, if you bumped into it through this very episode, the playlist for the main story is in the description of the video, and many more playlists. And especially if you're new to Arknights, I would recommend just watching the very beginning of Chapter 13 Part 1, which I will leave a link down in the pinned comment in the comment section below, because I talked on verbatim in the beginning about connected stories to the main story, yada yada. You'll get a very broad picture about what to go about, how to consume, and what other options are to maybe even bypass a huge portion of the story. So enjoy, hopefully it helps, and is informative. Thank you. And of course, as always, guys, thank you very much for all the likes on the previous episode, all the comments, much appreciated. As I always say, they really mean and help a lot, so thank you. And I would also like to say that apparently, for once, not only you guys worked your butts off with all the likes and comments, but also apparently the algorithm decided to, you know, the YouTube algorithm decided to help out, because apparently the last episode, from what I've observed, served a tiny bit through the waves there, considering that the view count between Part 1 and Part 2 are double. And I mean Part 2 has double the views than Part 1. Yeah. While I would love to thank the algorithm, I will thank it a tiny bit, but I will mostly thank you guys. So, you got a smooch. Why did I do that? Anyway, thank you very much. But we shall now continue with the quick recap of the previous part. For those of you who want to skip, as always, I leave a timestamp down below, so you can just hit it and you will be straight at the beginning of today's story part. But let's begin. On the previous part, we began where we left off with Part 1. Pretty much same place, but inside of the Windermere warship. This time around following the Doctor, as he almost gets bamboozled by Damazi, who appears in the guise of Amiya, but recognizes them in the last second. Amiya swoops in to protect the Doctor from Damazi, and Ascalon also keeps, or rather is trying to come along to help out with the rescue, but gets swarmed by the Damazi, while Amiya, on the other hand, gets pretty much kidnapped by the sudden appearance of Solus, who we've met before in an earlier episode of the main story, during the dinner scene with Shining. But she's here, she displays some very interesting powers, and she, together with the Confessari, manages to surround Amiya, subdue her powers, and pretty much yoink her, open the side of the ship, and uses apparently gargoyle powers on top of it, which is, as pointed out during the story moment, very weird, considering that Solus does not appear to be a gargoyle herself, but as she is descending a set of stairs that she's basically making out of rock on the spot, the Doctor puts together all of their determination and decides to bolt after them. And as they descend the stairs after them, they fall into a bit of darkness, and after they awake, they find themselves inside of a cave that is littered with a ton of statues that are all representing different Sarkas races. Solus is there together with Amiya, as she's trying apparently to extract the power of the crown, or the King of Sarkas, from Amiya, to bestow it upon herself so she can hand it out later to someone else apparently. But the Doctor tries to at least knock the shit out of Solus, even though they get flung to the side. Still, Amiya protects them, even though she is unconscious during all of that. But the Doctor also gets their arm broken by Solus, but also manages to calm down Amiya in her unconscious state. She's suffering under whatever is happening to her. The two of them do get rescued by, first off, by the appearance of Ascalon, who swoops in, literally cuts the jugular of Solus, her neck, open, but Solus displays sanguinarch witchcraft now, as well on top of everything, and her blood just swoops back into her body, and she's fine again. But all three of them then get bailed out by the appearance of Logos. Deus Ex Machina much? But anyway, Logos appears and bails them all out. But they all find suddenly themselves in something unfamiliar. Logos says that they are pretty much not in, at least they don't appear to be anymore in Victoria at all, but he identifies the place that they are as the Convalis of the Banshees, pretty much his very home. After that scene concluded, we swapped back to our mercenary trio. Hodor, Ines, and W have a little run-in with the Lich Ermengarde. As they intercept her, or rather W intercepts her with some explosives, the three of them together with Ermengarde land in also a mirage, it seems, just like the previous group with Logos, but they are in their own place, and they seem to be looking at a very historical moment, as many Sarkas that are present in the illusion that they are watching seem to be very big historical figures for the Sarkas. They all get identified pretty much by Hodor, who is very familiar with the history of the Sarkas, but also Ermengarde herself. They do manage to break free from the illusion and find themselves in front of a what appears to be a Sarkas witchcraft altar in front of them. Pretty much looking like a broken down Stonehenge, but with very, very craggly looking glowy red crystals around them. They do break free from the influence that the altar is exerting on them, and manage to compose themselves, minus Ines, who, well, she is not a Sarkas, so she is not pretty much getting affected by it. But anyway, they break free, and they have a little moment to discuss some matters. Pretty much Hodor and Ermengarde are discussing what is happening back in Kazdel, what the Liches are doing, considering he had heard word of the Liches suddenly appearing in Kazdel en masse. Ermengarde pretty much discloses that the Liches are preparing to essentially split up Kazdel and evacuate it into the deep barren lands to hide the different parts away, in case Therisis' whatever plan fails in Londinium. Hodor, however, proposes a counter plan, considering he and his team are trying to find the lifeline that Therisis is using, and Hodor wants to use it to save his people. They do agree on that and go their separate ways, but before we end that scene, there we see that W spots someone in the distance. She spots namely Theresa and is a bit shook after that. We swap venues and are back to Logos and team, as they are still trapped in their own illusion, and are in the convalis of the Banshees. We get a bit of backstory on Logos, but also see first off, Logos sees a illusion of his mother. We do also see a flashback with Logos and his mother, as he was upon his way to go and work at Rhode Island, essentially, to join up with Rhode Island, or rather Babel, I think it was back then, if I remember correctly. If it was that far back? I can't remember, honestly, right now, for the pardon. But anyway, he was about to break out, and we see a bit of a conversation between the two. After the little flashback, Logos uses his bone flute and his Banshee powers to break the illusion apart, and they find themselves pretty much at a very similar ritual site that Hodorer and team also found themselves at. However, this team get surprised by the appearance of people who are there to maintain, or rather to patrol through these altars to see if they are still intact and operational. This team is apparently being led, or accompanied at least, by Paprika and a couple of volunteers that are with her that don't really seem like combatants, but have been conscripted to just do this maintenance work, so they probably don't get in the way, considering one of them is a driver, one is whatever, and the third one is a merchant. Paprika, however, recognizes the Doctor, considering she met them before, saw them before. The Doctor recognizes Paprika, but the Doctor and Logos very quickly, on the fly, make up a plan where the Doctor pretends that he is a prisoner of Logos, as they are recognizing Logos as someone of a higher rank in the Sarkis ranks. Essentially, he does unveil himself as a Banshee, but they do pretend like the Doctor is and Amiya are his prisoners, even though Logos hams it a tiny bit up. Oh boy. Anyway, they all move their own way then. We then swap venues once more, now back to Siege and the team, who are still on Windermere's warship and have done a head count, realize that the Doctor and Amiya and Ascalon are not on the ship anymore, but also have their own problems, as the Duke of Windermere's body gets ferried off to the warships that came in support. A huge portion of the military personnel from the warship actually gets pulled away onto the other one, and they just straight up leave them behind together with all the civilians that were there. Only a couple of soldiers are left with the team on that derelict, or that stranded warship, and one of them being the head doctor of the warship itself, Shearer. After a bit of confusion, they do compose themselves and head out to pursue the ship that left them behind. After several hours of marching, they do stop. They do have to stop. A bit of a kerfuffle happens, as the soldiers do want to keep marching on, but the civilians do like the training to actually sustain themselves so long on a march. So kerfuffle breaks out, and after a bit of a fisticuff between Shearer and Siege, they do come to a conclusion as to what to do, as Shearer will take a small detachment of units with him and head out to go after the ship and a communication tower to get in contact with and see what is happening, while the rest of them will make camp for the night. During the camp, they get visited by one Trilby Asher. He brings a message from the Duke of Castor that he works for, but also brings supplies for the group that is camping there. And he also brings, or rather comes with, a demand. The demand is pretty much that Siege hands over the sword. However, Siege has her own demand and says that she will hand the sword over only under her own conditions. The Asher says that he cannot make this decision by his lonesome, so he will head back to the Duke of Castor to deliver Siege's message. but he does leave a couple of extra supplies back. So, very nice of him, including a set of coordinates and a audio message. After he leaves, Siege and group listen to the message, and they hear a familiar voice on the radio. Horn calling out with an SOS, essentially, from the Tempest platoon, and that they need help. And that is pretty much where we left off. So then, let's head in. Right then, we shall today continue on from stage number 6, and we will make quite the headway, as you can see, but just to be clear here, 13.7 has nothing on it. The training stage does have a cutscene, but it's only a before scene, and 13.8 has an after scene, so it feels like we're making progress, right? But anyway, no new entry into our booklet here on the top left, so it will be just story stages. And finally, before we head into our first one for today, considering that so far I've been pretty much splicing all the cutscenes together and then introducing units, how about for the rest of this episode I keep doing the same thing. So we're gonna do the entire cutscenes for 13-6 first, and then I will introduce the new enemies and their descriptions. But anyway, let's begin proper. 13-6. In the name of example, we make miracles.
I was the first to see the scout. While I scouted the silent government buildings next to the plaza on the other bank, his dead body was drifting in the water, still grabbing the reeds by the bank. It seems he never gave up trying to survive. Not far from him, his journal lay quietly in a waterproof pouch, the last entry written just before his departure. I volunteered for this mission to deliver the SOS. I won't come back, whether I succeed or fail. No one will survive. Crossed out. His journal indicates that the defenders of Cadley are in dire straits. See the crossing on the other side? The ferries have been sunk. Horn's squad has been completely cut off from the outside. 2 days ago, this soldier tried to cross the river under the cover of darkness, but was shot by the Sarkas patrolling on the opposite bank. There is no word from the troops that were garrisoned in the city hall. The soldier's journal made me uneasy. 23 soldiers, 2 squads. Other than the city hall, silent in the darkness, the rest of the buildings around the plaza have been reduced to smoldering ruins by artillery fire. At least the tragedy hammers one thing: no one can truly escape death on the battlefield. The Camus River runs to the east and north side of the plaza. The crossing to the east is under Sarkas control. The lights coming from the south should be the Sarkas camp. They've holed up in the city hall for more than 2 weeks. If the journal is accurate, the last bridge that connects the city hall to the residential district on the other side of the north bank was attacked no less than 2 days ago. It's possible that they're cut off from all supplies. Out of ammo, out of food. What do we do? If we have the time to worry about that here, we might as well just cross the river and see for ourselves. We can't just cross without a plan, Hannah. If we're discovered... Actually, Hannah's words made me think. We've been unable to reach Horn's squad by radio. Restoring communications is our first priority. Me, Hannah, Morgan and Dagda will swim across the river and see what the situation is inside City Hall. That's too dangerous, Vina! You realize that we're the best people for this job. The only people for this job. We're Rhode Island operators. Small squad spec ops is our game. And we're Norport gangsters. We know how to get into a place and get back out again unnoticed. We have a few volunteer soldiers and civilians who want to offer their support for the legendary Tempest platoon. But there are only so many people who we can bring. We need people to stay behind for defense, with Lieutenant Shearer gone. I hardly hear what Vina is saying. Is this a bad joke by Trilby Asher? Or is this how the battlefield is? The call for help, deciding whether to answer, and the sacrifices that must be made to help. The laws of the battlefield. I know what you're thinking, Delphine. There are personal sentiments involved, but I can't ignore the SOS. They're good soldiers, and they'll be of help if they're still alive. Alright, I trust your judgment. Stay behind with these men, Delphine. We need to keep watch. If you lose our signal, take them and get out of here. Alright. Come back alive. Okay, we're on the bank. Keep your eyes out for any patrols. 2 Sarkas standing guard at the crossing. 1 to Hannah's 3 o'clock. Another in the building. Roger! Draw the attention of the first, and Hannah and I will do this together. 3, 2, 1, go! The light in the window goes out. All is well? Wait, a foul beast? A black foul beast flies out of the hut at the crossing, flies a circle above, then heads towards the Sarkas camp. Vina! An agile shadow leaps across the moonlight from the roof of the hut and grabs the foul beast. Got it! A military foul beast. You spooked it, Hannah. Sorry, didn't notice. No sign of Sarkas. To the city hall. Lots of bodies on the plaza, but it's too dark to identify them. Ready to go in. I see the bridge that connects the residential district, but the barricades on the other side of the bridge are blocking the view. Go to the top of the city hall. Try to get a better vantage. Roger. The entrance has been boarded up. Over here, a gap has been blown in the west wall, wide enough for us to go in. Good. Do you see Horn's squad? Not yet. Stop. Something's moving. Radio silence. There's a crossbowman in the building watching the residential district. Allegiance unknown. Watch for my sign.
The Sarkas mercenary uttering a Sarkas profanity and then continuing, "What's that sound in this frequency? Who?"
The signal goes silent. I did not hear anything from them for the next 10 minutes. How many men in the building? What's the situation with the surrounding troops? Has Venus group been discovered? I'm completely in the dark. Crouched in the dirt of the banks, I feel my heart beat harder with every throb. The heartbeats merge into the river, resonating with the flow, growing faster and stronger. I see you. They've been discovered? Someone's waving from the top of the building, the moon at her back. It's... Vina? Siege here. Horn, Tempest Platoon, do you hear me? We got your SOS. We've confirmed your location. The bridgehead at the residential district on the other side. We're coming to help. I hear cheers coming from the radio. They did it. Sorry about that. The men are excited for our first bit of support. We should be able to talk normally now. Horn, we can help your squad evacuate. Thanks, but we're not evacuating. There's something in this town that the Sarkas want, and they won't abandon their assault. The nearest Victorian battalion that received our SOS will arrive within 1 week. We must guard the entrance until then, and ensure the safety of the survivors of Catalay. We voted on this. The decision was unanimous. Including Misery. Much obliged. Dead silence. She sounded like she was talking about the weather. A vote. On a battlefield there are only two choices you get to vote for. Life or death. Vina seems lost in thought. What decision would I make? What decision would Mother make? Then, if you choose to gamble, I have an even bolder plan. Care to hear it? I don't support Vina because she's the heir to the throne. She's brave, competitive, hates losing. Some would call her reckless. But I count on her to get us there, to find a way out of hell. I have to believe in her. I have to believe to get out of this hell. I can't even bring myself to think about what happened that day. Focus, Delphine. Focus. The Overwatch mission has ended. Time to meet up with them. It's almost dawn. How go the preparations? The windows and doors are being reinforced. Misery's been cleaning up enemy sentries.
I'll continue to keep a watch on the outskirts. I'll get in touch if there are any changes at the camp.
Thank you, Misery. We were supposed to meet up at Brentwood when we split up in Londinium. Why are you here in Catalay? Misery noticed something unusual when we passed by. We got here in time to see a massacre, and we couldn't just walk away. Are you sure you want me to be in charge? You're a professional soldier, Horn, and Delphine had elite military training. I know what you guys did at the Mausoleum of Kings. You brought back that sword for us. Just a piece of metal. But piece of metal? It's Victoria's realm blade. Stop thinking about the size of kings. This might disappoint you, but it won't break any miracles. We're the only ones we can count on. And it's enough. You're right. You've proven as much. We don't have the personnel, conditions, or resources to implement complex tactics. What we need for the coming fight is courage and determination. In the face of disaster, the human spirit is much more important than any legend or artifact. Prove it, Siege. Alright. Most of us are not professional soldiers. We'll just tell them to take the high ground and shoot any enemy that approaches. The few of us here will form a response team to take out any Sarkas that gets past. Horn Squad will continue to defend the bridgehead position, create a fire zone. They will continue to fend off the Sarkas trying to get across the bridge, as per the original plan. This building is the first line of defense. We'll be in the thick of things. All we need to do is defend one building. How hard can it be? The defense of Camus River? Hey, that was what I was going to say. It would make a great movie. Quiet, Hana. Patrol approaching from 1 o'clock. 100 meters out. At the ready. Shall we fire, Siege? Vina's hands were trembling. Excitement? Fear? Or both? I do not know. My hands are cold. Almost frozen. 7 days. Will the Duke's troops really come? What if we fail? What if more Sarkas notice? I kept going over the possibilities in my head. Now, open fire! Sirens start blaring in the Sarkas camp the moment the patrol goes down. There is no time to think. The defense has begun.
My brothers will tear you apart standing on my corpse! Oh.
I prefer to be the one doing the tearing, if that's alright with you. Sarkas. Once again I think back to what happened that day. No, I can't. It's almost 90 seconds, Delphine. Ready to pull back. Roger. Bentley's down. I'll fill the gap in the minefield. Mines are too precious to just leave out there. You have fire support from the 3rd floor. The underground passage that connects the City Hall's basement to the bridge has been cleared. Now the wounded have some space. You took a nick, Morgan. Are you okay? Not good enough to hold a knife, but I can coordinate things in the back. What about your side, Hannah? You're asking the expert of destruction. I could smash a hole in the ceiling without any extra equipment. And we have wooden ladders set up so that we can move quickly between the floors. Good. We can't have another situation like yesterday, when we couldn't get to Dagda in time. I filled the gap in the minefield. Bentley's still breathing, so I'm taking him into the basement for treatment. Is Dagda awake? Awake, but she can't be moved yet. She's been trying too hard. I'll do my best to care for her. Is there any news from the circus camp? They may be planning something else after the assault on the building failed. Can you find any more mines to expand the minefield?
I'm afraid not. Our circus friend's mercenary band isn't so easy to find. We'll have to count on my...
Witchcraft! Signal disrupt... Something's disrupting the signal? It's... Del! Run! I hear a long howl in the distance. A strong sense of unease suddenly comes over me. The air has become filled with malice. Delphine? You're finally up. My head hurts. You didn't pull out in time while rescuing the wounded yesterday and got caught up by the blast of them test firing the war altar. Yesterday? War altar? Where's Ben? Huh. Looks like we've both missed a lot. My back still hurts. Morgan sucks at stitching. Oh, Ben's alive. Who brought me back? Hannah. She saw that you were still outside and jumped out from the 3rd floor to drag you back in. She just woke up herself. She's gone off to support Vina. These are the wounded? I walk through the underground passage, now filled with wounded personnel. Dozens of eyes turn towards me. Many of them still have dried blood upon them. It's pretty bad. We need to hurry. The mines are pulling their weight. 2 of the war altars have had their undercarriages disabled, and the rest have stopped. They've stopped their advance. We can bombard the position you marked at any time. Careful! The war altars are still charging. They haven't abandoned the assault yet. Alright, listen up, you Burks. The next round of bombardment is about to begin. Anyone still on the 1st floor and the 2nd floors? Get your arses up to the 3rd floor! That thing can only shoot so high!
I believe that its witchcraft core is powered by its operator, the altar itself acting only as a medium.
So it'll blow itself up if its witchcraft core is destroyed when fully charged?
In theory, but I've never seen it in action personally. I can't guarantee.
That's good enough. I'll go up to the roof to look for an opportunity. The only way to approach the core is from above. Can you distract the operator for a little while when the altar is activated? Every second helps.
Will do.
Vina. I stand at the staircase to the 2nd floor, dumbfounded. It takes me some time to realize that the pile of rubble without the left side wall is the city hall that we've been defending for the better part of the week. The carnage of the plaza is in plain view without the need for windows or portholes. Amidst the ruins, the red crystals on the war altars shine an eerie red in the rays of dawn, the metal skeleton reflecting an ominous light. It seems to whisper, "Gaze upon blood, gaze upon decay, gaze upon death." And this is what Mother had done for so long. And this is the first time I've thought of her in days. Welcome back, Delphine, Dagda. The Sarkas have deployed these weapons en masse?
I don't think so. I believe it was developed by the Military Commission of Victoria. The design is still very rough around the edges. Delphine, you look reasonably well for someone who just woke up from being knocked unconscious.
Morgan has been taking care of you two with one hand. Hannah! Thanks, Morgan. And Hannah. Sorry about the trouble.
That was a piece of cake.
Alright, everybody, listen. I want to get rid of those altars, and for that I need help. I need bait. Someone to stay here and keep those things firing.
Sounds like a job for me.
I can do it too. This is no time to be acting tough. I know better than anyone else here how terrifying those things are. Your hand's still injured, Morgan. I'll be the one to work with Hannah. I need someone else on standby to take over the attack if I don't succeed. Misery can only buy so much time for us.
I'll do it.
What about me, Vina? Morgan, keep an eye on everyone. Vina's plan is a simple one. Wait for the altars to fire, smash the core, cause a chain reaction. All we need is an opportunity, and the opportunity has come. They've taken aim. The malice is sickening. They could fire at any time.
Not exactly a great feeling to be in that thing's crosshairs.
Misery?
Whenever you're ready.
Do it! Red. The color on the deck flashes back before my eyes. The demonic eye in the altar peers at me. It is averted by a silver arc. The dagger rips open the necks of a file of Sarka's artillerymen, leaping back joyfully into Misery's hand. Their hands slow for a moment as they reach for the core, continuing their movements from before they died under the pull of inertia. A hammer falls from the sky, impacting lightly with the red wave. Bang! Vina is knocked back into the building like a comet. No! Vina! Half a second. The altar activated faster than anyone expected. The hammer embeds itself in the broken wall. I can't see anything in the dust and smoke.
Watch out! They've replaced the artillerymen and are preparing to fire again!
The hammer is gone by the time I wipe the gravel from my eyes. A figure climbs the other wall swiftly, the hammer pulling her up like a pickaxe, the building trembling under every blow.
Dagda!
Dagda grabs a hand that stretches out from within the light. Brick and stone crack and break under Vina's heels. She leaps into the sky. The red wave has begun to build.
Everyone! Take cover! Get down, Morgan!
I look up in the storm. She walks upon the rays of dawn, her golden hair burning. She raises her hammer high, and it becomes one with the sun. The wave is torn apart, rampant power streaking towards the core. I lose my voice. All that remains is the light that stabs at my eyes. Vina! Vina! The altars are still exploding! Look out! She's fainted! Damn, the metal shards got into her chest! Someone help me out! Bring her back! Don't let the originium dust into the wounds! The Sarkas are retreating! Hana, look! Over there! Battleships? Reinforcements? Really? That's the center of Duke Ododin! It's over. It's over, we bloody made it! We did! Ben! Look! We're saved! Ben! Those elbow devils are trying to run after them! I should add another entry to the Scout's journal. We survived. In memory of 7 fallen heroes. Abigail of Norpor, civilian. Alexandra of Catalay, civilian. Henderson of Auchterich, soldier. Bentley of Linkardin, soldier. Unidentified body. Unidentified body. Unidentified. No one can be told what a battlefield is. You have to see it for yourself. My friends and I spent a lot of time in Norport's video shop watching old movies, many of them war movies. There were stories of heroes, but also stories of terror, depicted by directors with a sadistic streak. I remembered that the 4 of us all had nightmares that night. Even now, I seem to be drifting in a dream. We took on a few soldiers who were still breathing when we passed through the valley. Oh, and the survivors have caught up to our column. They're all infected, as they should be after spending a night in a corpse-filled crater. You did disinfect properly, didn't you? You could have gotten active originium dust on you. Where are we, Hannah? I'm a little... Don't worry, I have experience with large-scale active originium zones from my time in County Hillock. We undertook the cleanup according to SOP. The soldiers were conscripts under the Duke of Ashworth. They said that their company simply pulled out after the battle, without rescuing the wounded or cleaning up the battlefield. Horn? Is Hannah angry at me because I acted on my own? Why is she ignoring me? He said he had a friend who had been crying for help by a shallow puddle all night. Couldn't turn himself over because his legs were injured. He had drowned by the time we found him. The puddle was ankle deep. He would have survived if someone had just flipped him over. I examined the area. Looks like they marched into a royal coal trap. Some Sarkas mercenaries must have sacrificed themselves by acting as bait. There's something on my chest. I can't breathe. Morgan... I feel something hot roiling in my chest. But how could they have gone down without a fight? That's not surprising. Other than the strongest dukes, professional soldiers make up only a quarter of the armies of the other ducal armies at best. Most Victorian soldiers are conscripted, sent into battle after only a few months of basic training on how to use a crossbow or arts unit. Frankly, if not for this war, the officers and soldiers may never have spoken to each other their entire lives. Mina wouldn't like to hear it. I hate this. How could you trust your back to someone whom you don't trust? Why does nobody hear me? I feel the taste of iron in my mouth, something boiling. rushing up my throat. Mother never answered my question. She said I would find the answer someday. Vina! Take it easy, Morgan. My neck. I can't breathe. Sorry, got excited. You had been unconscious for 2 days. You were running a fever. At least the wound on your chest was healing well. Otherwise, we would have been even more worried. Where are we? We aren't in Catalay anymore, are we? They are silent. What happened? Maybe I should explain. We pulled out 2 days ago. We're back to our original encampment. At Horn's advice, we pulled out as quickly as possible before the Duke of Gododin's fleet entered Catalay, avoiding direct contact with the reinforcements. Horn? We have a lot of complicated circumstances. It's going to cause a lot of complications if we establish official communications with the Duke's troops. I've talked about this with Misery, and the others support what we're doing. While we still have troops formerly under the command of Duke Windermere, their military ID has expired, and there's a high risk of friendly fire. Well, not so much expired as no longer recognized. No need to mince words about the nobles' dirty deeds. It's the same deal as gangs fighting for territory. Indra's right. Since when did the war become like this? We could give help to where we can see, but what about the places beyond? What's the situation? Some have chosen to join Duke Gododin's forces and continue the fight. Gododin's officers didn't even say anything about the infected. The majority have chosen to stay with us, however. They trust us, or should I say they trust you. We won! Morale is really high right now. They're even joking about the old conflicts now. We did it. Your plan worked. We made it. It's very possible that no one will ever know the sacrifices we made. It's just one small victory in a greater war. I look at Delphine's tired face. A great burden has weighed upon her heart ever since she was left behind by the battleships. But now I see a rare smile on her face. But we saved Catalay, Vina. Yes, we did. My brain tells me that I should be relieved or happy. But I can't do it. I'm afraid to know how many stayed behind in that building, never to leave it. Everything that happened there seems like a dream. Is this what victory feels like? It's so weighty. Would things have gotten so bad if everyone was fully committed to fighting for Victoria from the very beginning? No, they all firmly believe that they are fighting for Victoria. It's the other way around. Things have already spiraled out of control. Therefore, we're fighting for ourselves now. Siege, one of the survivors from Catalay, has brought us a surprise. His family collected Gaulish artifacts, and his father once picked up a little Victorian object from Lingoness's former route. It wasn't anything valuable, so it has been sitting in a warehouse for a long time. He gave it to us before we left as a gift of gratitude, and Horn recognized it immediately. Here. This is an IFF beacon used in IFVs. It emits a signal that allows Victorian armies to identify the bearer's affiliation. It contains a military identification code? Yes, this black box belonged to the Victorian army. I'm familiar with the symbol on it. But I thought that the unit that it once belonged to no longer exists, lost in the ruins of Gaul. The Exemplars. A unit of legend, predecessor to Tempest Platoon. This thing took a long journey back to Victoria. Back to us. The Exemplars. The present dukes may not recognize this ancient unit. At best, it might prevent direct artillery strikes. But the more important thing is, The mission of the unit was inscribed inside the box. The exemplars. We make miracles. Consider it a gift from fate. What's this? The beacon that Lieutenant Shearer left us has picked up a signal. Shearer?
Lady Delphine, there has been a change of circumstances at Ironclad Glaive. We are approaching your position now, ETA in 1 hour. Be prepared for unhappy news and a guest who insists on seeing you. Your wounds! What a shoddy work of first aid! It may look like the wounds have closed, but the inflammation wasn't effectively treated, which explains the fever. With serious wounds like these, it's important that they are treated by a doctor and all vital signs monitored, reducing the chance of lingering after effects. You're fortunate it was a piece of metal, not a Regenium crystal. When you're dealing with Tharka's witchcraft devices, even the slightest touch could be infectious. Even if it wasn't directly caused by Regenium, there was a high risk of infection given the circumstances. It's incredible that your blood Regenium levels still remain at normal levels. You really should thank your lucky stars.
Well, it was a chaotic situation, Lieutenant. At least I'm alive. It pays to have a strong constitution.
Fine. Lady Delphine has explained what happened. It was a battle worthy of study in the war colleges, given the differences in strength between the two sides. Most of the people on your side weren't even regulars.
Oh? Should I be sad that no one will remember what we did?
You're wrong on that, Siege. I'll remember. The soldiers outside will remember. The survivors of Cadillac will remember. Most legends are not born from official records.
I didn't know you were the type to say things like that.
Well, I've wrapped your wounds again. Don't try to blow me off with excuses like strong constitution, because I'm going to be keeping a close eye on your condition. I'm the doctor in this room. I'll be checking on your friends too, and the injured soldiers and civilians.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Also, I suggest you check on that guest. I'm not sure if Lady Delphine is ready to handle her on her own. I sincerely apologize for my behavior before, and my misplaced assessment about you. There is one thing on which I won't budge, however. You're too impulsive and emotional. You shouldn't be trying to solve every problem on your own. Turn around once in a while, and you'll find plenty of people ready to help.
Take it easy, Aunt Manning. The Sarkas were everywhere on my way here. I thought I was going to die. Thank goodness that Lieutenant Shearer was tracking Ironclad Glaive, which was how he got there in time to save my life. He's a decent man, but lacks flexibility. Those men would never allow him to board the ship. You said you escaped Ironclad Glaive. What's happening there? It makes me anxious just thinking about it. Those damned officers charged into the central hub of the fortress and pointed their swords at me. Marquess von Thayer must be behind this. I found an opportunity to change into inconspicuous clothes and escape. The fortress elevator almost ripped my dress. Sounds like you really were lucky. I thought I was just coming along with your mother to see how things were going on the front lines, and to take you home. What's the worst that could happen safe inside a nomadic fortress? Who would have thought? The old Dukes of Windermere would be proud of Mother. You're right. But you're the Duke of Windermere now, Delphine? Auntie, you're hurting me. What's that look on your face? The General Staff were eager to go back because they believed the Duke's death was caused by a Lithanian plot. You want to laugh, don't you? But they have evidence. Lithanian may not be in league with the Sarkas, but they undoubtedly caused the situation. What? Lithanian? The staff are cautious about accusing Lithanian nobles directly, but they have set their sights on the rebellions going on in the provinces. No one wants to come all this way to fight the Sarkas, only to return to find the Mesni they had defended for centuries has fallen under Lithanian control. You're her daughter, Delphine. Your duty will come soon. Now, let me rest. Then we'll leave this place. Leave? To where? You should not be with these peasants. Watch your words. Don't call them peasants. Alright, Delphine, listen. If you really care about them, really think that they are heroes, a part of Victoria, think of how many people like them are there in your mother's Demesne. If you really want to protect these people, take my advice and seek aid from the Duke of Castor to return to your Demesne and take charge. Perhaps you will have to become a Castor vassal, but you'll be able to fulfill your duty. What are you blanking at? Did you fall in love with them just because they fought alongside you? You stopped loving your own subjects? Accept it, Delphine. You and your mother have suffered enough. Accept the Duke of Castor's proposal, and at least Windermere will be spared from devastation. Why do you hesitate? Do you really want to be a vagabond forever, leaving your family, your bloodline, and your duty behind? I understand. I'm mother's daughter. You're right. I have a responsibility, not just to my friends, but to the subjects of Windermere as well. But why did these sword guards leave me behind when I still had such a duty? If this was a duty glorious beyond all doubt, why do you come to me in such a condition? You're right. If Windermere has fallen under the cloud of conspiracy, then I feel both the obligation and desire to do something about it. But We're with you, Delphine. Say what you want to say. Sorry, I couldn't hold back anymore. Do you know what we just went through, madam? And you are? I'm not going with you. You have a duty! I'm my mother's daughter, comrade with these warriors, and nothing else. Even if I once was, I don't believe it anymore. I stood here for them, so that their lives would no longer be the playthings of people like you, and I'm not going anywhere until I've bled my last. Leave! I hope the Sarkas don't take you. The Viscount's face is a spectacle of color, but Delphine gives her no further chance to speak. She leads with her head bowed in the direction of Lieutenant Shearer. Delphine's expression is calmer than I thought it would be. What she said, what she went through. It made me think of an old friend. Delphine did not make the same mistake. Tragedy will not strike again. But what was the price? The death of a loved one. A swift betrayal. Apparently, I was rather concerned how Delphine would react to these things. Delphine smiles at me. It seems she has settled down. I'm fine. Let's go. The same thing cannot happen again. Head west once you leave the camp. If you're lucky enough, you should be able to reach the kind Duke of Castor. Do you think you can survive without the Duke's protection? We can, and we will. Alright, I'm going to Duke Castor. I'll take a leisurely pace. This is your last chance. Come with me, and we'll all live. I won't stop you. But the work of Delphine and her mother... No, I'm not the one who's wrong. You're naive, stupid, foolish, believing that you're right. So be it. I see her off on a vehicle not meant for rough terrain, leaving under the cover of darkness with a small escort. I turn around to look at our group. Hundreds, thousands of eyes converge upon a single spot. Some are soldiers laughing with each other, others are civilians, celebrating. The camp falls silent. They're waiting for an answer. Mine. You heard her. It was undoubtedly an attractive proposal for many people. We survived the worst of times together, Rena. But what now? What happens when the morale and spirit that burns so brightly now is worn away by hardship and suffering? Who will tell them where to go? I do not answer. Not yet. He's here. A creature with golden mane walks amongst the crowd. He looks at me. I wanted to see the answer in his eyes, hear a word of advice in these fleeting moments. But he gives no answers. All he does is look at me, waiting for me to find the answer. Yes, perhaps he is not even there. Lend me your ears. If any among you still have faith in the proud dukes that are the faces of our Victoria, you should go with that woman now. No one will fault your decision. The crowd rustles, but no one leaves. None among you? Is it not our instinct to seek protection from the powerful? It's nothing to be ashamed of. I would very much like to. Oh, how I wish that this sword I carry had the power to protect my friends, such that none among them would die. She would very much like to. How many times has she cried when no one was watching, wishing that someone could have saved her mother's life? You would very much like to. Don't look away. I know you would. The Sarkas wouldn't have butchered your brother so badly you couldn't even identify his corpse, if the troops that were supposed to escort you didn't flee. But none among you have left. You know that those nobles don't care about you in the slightest. But do you really need to seek the strength and protection of another? It's always been like that for us. We keep worshipping people and things that never really gave us anything, become their willing slaves. Massacre, infection, besiegement, we survived all that on our own strength. We all want to go home, we all want this rotten war to end, but we can't win by hiding. The fastest way is to give those warmongering bastards hiding in Londinium the old 1-2 in the face. If the dukes won't do it, we will. If no one will take us home, we'll walk home ourselves. A gift fell into our laps, a unit ID that the dukes left behind in Gaul. It was called the Exemplars. They were elites, the will of the nation, with a long list of accolades. But now, they are nothing more than this little box in my hands. It has no special powers, but we can take it back to Londinium. Punch those warmongering bastards in the face, throw this in the faces of those dukes, and tell them, this bloody land is our land! I want to go home, to the gym where my friends were. They want to go home, to the lives they once had. We cannot rely on others anymore. We cannot expect justice to be served on its own. I smash my hammer into the earth with all the strength I can muster. I do not know why I did it. All I know is that I can no longer hold back my anger. The hammer silences all other sounds. The Exemplars! It's the Glasgow gang that first breaks the silence. The Exemplars! Then they are joined by Delphine.
The Exemplars!
Until everyone joins in.
The Exemplars! The Exemplars! The Exemplars!
Say, I had a strange dream. I dreamt that a golden beast was taking a walk through our camp. Good omen, perhaps? Let's hope it all goes smoothly. I wonder if the Self-Salvation Corps will arrive at Brentwood before us. We'll have even more hands once we join up with them. Who would have thought a few days ago that we would have our own army? I kind of like the name, the Exemplars. Are you sure about this though, Vina? Are we bringing all of them back to Londinium? Very few of them are ready to fight the Royal Court head-on. Perhaps there will be more sacrifices along the way. I'll protect them. Or maybe there will come a day when they don't need anyone's protection anymore.
Alright then. Quite a lot of stuff has happened there. We found Horn, we saved Horn, we had a kerfuffle. No word about the Steam Knight though. Where the hell is that thing? Don't answer that. But more importantly, Siege has finally made a huge move. Her own army under her own name. So, once again, the title of this stage was In the Name of Example. We make miracles. Pretty much foreshadowing what was in there. Quite literally. But anyway, before we move on, we have 2 new enemies to add here, and then we move on to the next one. Our first one is the Bloodborne Spawn, a creation of the Sanguine Court Originium's arts. It is said that just a few drops of fresh blood can spawn an entire swarm of these mindless worms. Once they've latched on, they will never let go until their hunger and thirst have been sated. Just like the rabid fans of Bloodborne who are still waiting to this day for a PC port or a PS5 release. I hope you guys get it finally. The other thing is the Blood Ember. The blood that flows from warriors under the gaze of the sanguine arc of vampires will be turned into beautiful crystals, waiting to be used once more, waiting to savor the taste of despair once more. Alright, and with that we move on to the training stage. The training stage does not carry any story significant fight on here. It is pretty much a training stage to teach you that this thing bad. This thing goes boom. You activate, you hit and get it to here and it goes boom boom. And then you're safe. Training stage done. Anyway. Sorry. The title is Led to Pursue. The Uncanny Altar is in operation. Destroy it. There is a new enemy on this stage. More on that later. We'll introduce it after the cutscene is done. One small little tip that I would like to give before we head into the cutscene for anybody who is mostly watching it on like another monitor or just you know, like an audiobook listening to. When it starts to rumble, pay attention. That's all the tips you get. Let's begin. How absurd it is that we're chasing illusions on this battlefield full of bones, blood, smoke, and mud. The illusions are our only clue. Like the Lich said, the drifting fragments of history are the tracks it left behind. They passed through many ruins, some long forgotten, some never remembered to begin with. Soon these sites will be gone too. Many times we barely arrived in time to grasp the last traces. We found 17 vampire war art circles. There are maybe dozens more, maybe even hundreds more of them on this battlefield. They all appeared within the past week. A scary level of efficiency. We found troop tracks on 2 of them, but the marks indicated that the troops were only on a maintenance or patrol missions. I doubt there's much point to destroying the art circles. They could easily replace them with new ones. It's only that much more important to take control of that thing, whatever it is. This place is completely ruined.
Just like the Rhode Islanders said, it's another secret network of routes that led into the city. Through these hubs, Therisis has shipped huge amounts of steel, crystal units, and witchcraft devices into Londinium, enough to repair the shard and complete that airship. But how did these materials reach Londinium? Even the dumbest dukes wouldn't let large shipments of material outside their control travel freely through around Victoria. It's probably that they, like the Naxxir King's Legion, appeared out of thin air around the hubs. The so-called Sarka supply line we've been looking for may be the last and least important step of the transport process. How did they do it?
Not only that, if Therisis had access methods like this, why isn't he using them directly in battle? Teleporting armies behind enemy lines, or plopping originium bombs right on top of ducal flagships.
Either there are limitations to the method, or it's actually really fragile. The Lich called it an art beyond the realm of originium arts, but I just couldn't picture it.
W, over there.
Huh? Oh, no sign of battle. It's completely collapsed.
W has looked detached ever since that encounter a few days ago. I saw her gaze absent-mindedly into the fire while on night watch. I can't help her. She'll get through this on her own. Let's go. There's nothing to see here. I look at the map in my hand. Scattered dots mark the locations of the vampire art circles. Added a few, including the logistics hub just now, and the Naxxir King's Legion camp. Something had been placed there using the same methods. There must be something linking them. I scanned the names on the map. Hills, valleys, small patches of forests, and a few small ponds. Some sort of commonality, shared geographical traits. My eyes fall upon the name of a town, Brentwood. Enos, you said that Rhode Island analyzed the intel from the Defense Forces command tower, where they had set their sights near a town by the name of Brentwood. I draw a circle around Brentwood's location.
Closure came up with an analysis. She stole the records of all cargo movements since Therisis entered the city in 1094, and created an overlapping route map. All the towns around Londinium were covered in these cargo movements on the map. It's Victoria's capital after all. All the steak and wine the citizens enjoyed before the war didn't grow on the shelves. But the area around Brentwood is strangely empty, with only a few scattered entries around 1094 and 1095. It's pretty weird, like there's a forgotten town right here in the middle of Victoria. The Rhode Islanders think Brentwood might be the starting point of the Sarka's Underground Railroad, or the hub of a hidden network implementing some sort of secret embargo. We just proved the existence of these logistics hubs. But we also learned that Therisis has a pair of, well, invisible hands which lets him put things anywhere he wants. We may need to reassess the significance of Brentwood.
No. The closer we get, the more vampire art circles we see. Meanwhile, if we draw a line from the furthest points to Brentwood, we see that they are about equidistant. That might be the logistical limit.
Stop guessing. I know, Brentwood. You couldn't hide anything in that poor-ass town. There were barely any Sarka's vagrants when I visited a few months ago. Maybe the caravans just don't pass through, cause there's nothing interesting there.
W disinterestedly throws a rock over. She's in a bad mood, alright. She would normally have thrown a grenade pin. The rock rolls on the map and falls right where I'm looking. I'm about to move it other way. There's a patch of hills not far behind Brentwood. The rock fell right on the middle of the icons representing hills. Let's go. It's not like we have any better leads. Maybe coincidence has something in mind. Let's start there. The hills are dark and eerie. A Victorian history book wrote that the study of history is like walking into a cave, feeling the grains on the walls. Working blindly in the dark, all you can do is try to piece together the puzzle of where we came from by feeling around in the darkness. The land is not friendly to history. Originium veins assimilate any organic tissue around them, even bones. All that archaeologists had to work with are originium-infused ruins. All they could do is mull over metal shards. But we are different. We are Sarkas. We have many ways to look back. Legends say that the revenants in the furnace of Kazdil whispered the achievements of a certain king of Sarkas, or the sad ending of another. When I was little, I used to wait by the furnace that never went out, hoping to capture a single echo from the past. But all I ever heard was silence.
You might actually be right. There's something unusual about the shadows here. There seems to be a pattern in the chaos. It's like the ripples created by a sailing ship overlapping and interfering with another, until nothing is left but entropy. Not so much sailing as drifting.
Drifting? I once heard a story from an old Diablo. This word came up in his broken whispers.
What story?
A story of disaster. Let's hope we don't run into the stuff of those stories. Let's hope we still have some good luck left in the bank.
A merc who thinks he's lucky is a dead merc.
Which is why we need you to stay behind, W. We're not here to fight, we need to figure out what we're facing. If things go south and we need to pull out...
Don't worry, I won't leave the way open for you. I'll set up the explosives and wait until you're almost at the exit. Vampires and upstairs, hot on your tail, maybe Therisis himself, and just as you're about to see the light, boom! You'll become the tragic hero right out of your favorite story sorter. You can't handle Therisis on your own, W. Ines, I'll actually bury you, you know. You do you.
She really will blow the hills apart, though. We both know she's crazy. No need to provoke her with Theresa's name.
It's just pathetic. The act that she's putting on. I'd rather she knew what she wanted. You've been in the city for so long. If she wanted to know the truth, she could have just asked you. Did she ever ask if that Theresa was real? She never asked me either. She's never grown up. She could do one of two things. Grovel at that Theresa's feet and beg for forgiveness, or plan to kill her. But what is this that she's doing? Trying to prove that she's all great and powerful? Or is she trying to convince herself that nothing ever happened, that all she needs to do is kill people and plant mines like she always has, and it'll all pass? It would have been fine if she could actually stop thinking about it, but right now, she's like a little girl standing on the ice. She takes a few steps forward, then a few steps back, looking around the same place, sinking into pointless sentimentality.
I have no idea.
Give me a break. You just don't want the extra trouble.
I don't know you cared so much about her.
I care about me. I don't want to die because of her.
In all seriousness, Ines, have you ever thought about going back to Kazdel?
What? Am I in the way of your great plan?
No, it's just occurred to me that W and I have a reason to stay in this war. But what about you?
I've got my reasons too. Here we are. We're inside the hill. They hollowed out the whole thing?
Well, that's going to make things easier for W's demolition plan.
Look at the size of these tracks and the loading mechanism. That's a big guy.
Shh, get into the shadows.
When's the next shift?
Close. It's always on time.
I should have made a report to the boss. I would rather be outside killing Victorians.
You're not a warrior.
I don't need you to tell me. It's just that this place is so oppressive. I see those illusions every day. The things you don't know whether they're real or not. It's like a maelstrom that keeps spitting out trash from another dimension. Good thing Ursula is a decent woman who doesn't pick on us for no reason or abuse her authority. Is she the youngest major ever, according to military commission ranks?
She's not a member of the royal court. She won't go far.
Lady Theresa and the region aren't blue blood devils either. Screw the royal court. Castle wasn't won by those old fossils huddling around in a circle.
But they're the strongest.
That's because...
It's almost time. Go to the machine and prepare to load.
Did you hear the name they said?
Ursula.
Could it be...
It's not necessarily the one we're thinking of. Sarka's names are often code names or taken from legends. Ursula the Time Stealer. Ursula of the Lock and Key. It's a Sarka's legend about the Faramut. Anyone could have drawn from it. Wait. Ursula the Time Stealer?
What's the origin of your name, Holderer?
Don't have one.
Huh.
Bells.
Wait, over there. What's that?
What was that? The hills are trembling. No. Space itself is trembling. For an instant I see visions beyond reckoning. Bloated emperors crumbling in halls of gold, ancient bloodborne cutting open their wrists to feed a newborn. Diabolic flames burning amber, demons with deer horns sprawling beneath great bronze walls, offering battered willow wood. The one knot falls from nothingness, splitting into countless threads. A red-skinned monster cuts off its own horn, impaling its own chest with it. Broken shards become whole again. I see a faraway city. Calm, peaceful, not yet wheeled, not yet drowned in hatred. Its beauty is absurd and out of place, even in a dream. For no reason at all, I'm convinced that it was Kazdel, a home that has long ceased to exist from somewhere in history. I want to go there, go into there. I want to see what kind of life we once led. I lift my foot, but put it down in the same place again. I watch it quietly, until all is silent. Until... a pathetic creature that is not but bleached bones moves slowly. Nerve strands reach out and grab the massive containers. It still roams this place. It is not dead yet.
This is the cargo ship? So big. How did Therisis...
It's really... Ursula, the Time Stealer.
What a coincidence, right? The legend of Ursula tells of Kazdel being attacked by a Faramut that could slow the time of all things and peer into the past through the fog. Through so many paths the hero Ursula journeyed, rescuing their kin lost in the mirage of time. Who knew that I, who took the name by happenstance, would one day witness the legend with my own eyes? You've really ground those horns into shapiness. You could almost pass for a true blue Sarkas.
Ursula.
Are you really going to betray General Manfred, Holderer? I knew you wouldn't kill Ines when I first heard the rumors, but the confidential nature of my work precluded a personal visit to Londinium to see you. Are you supposed to be the handpicked successor to the Scar Market? Sounds like you're already the bone driver here. Is playing a hero of legend worth such loyalty and commitment? Ancient things are not so appealing anymore. Only one stuck in the past would continue to use the name.
You could give yourself a new name.
How would all friends who come a long way to visit be able to find me then? Care for a drink? You didn't used to be a drinker. Used to, huh? You didn't used to swing your sword at me either, Ines.
Well then, we have our answer to what the hell the giant skeleton whale is there in the background. And this is where they also hid the CG cutscene. Because usually, main story, especially since episode 9 and going forward, kinda always had a cutscene, right? There was always something. Especially 11, 12, 11 and 10, 11 and 12 had a CG cutscene leading in. When you just opened the chapter for the first time. This time around we didn't have anything, but... well, it makes sense why. But yeah, anyway, that was cool. And also, Ursula, huh? So, just to clarify, the skeleton in the back, or rather the giant whale-like skeleton, is apparently a Faramut. It is also apparently still alive somehow, and the little tendrils coming off of it are nerves. That thing is freaky and I love it. Also, more on Ursula later. But anyway, like I said, we have one new thing to add here, which is technically not an enemy, but still. It is the anti-witchcraft repositionable bomb. A bomb whose explosion can suppress the effects of the Sarkas witchcraft, with a prototype delivery platform originating from Victoria. After being modified by a certain demolition expert, it has become a trump card in our desperate battles. We move on to 13-7. No story here, so let's just read very quickly. The Blood Calling Altar. Follow Illusion's remnants and chase after their source. There are no new enemies here, so we move on to 13-8, where we have the after cutscene, titled An Unplanned Meeting. An unexpected reunion, though none of us resemble who we once were. Now quickly, before this, considering this is an after cutscene, let's introduce our new enemy for the stage, which is the Sarka's Bone Guard Flux Caster. A Sarka's caster, responsible for guarding the Faranmut's skeleton, their nature warped due to the perpetual drifting through spacetime along with it. In times of emergency, they will call upon the Faranmut's power to disappear from the enemy's sight before reappearing at a more opportune time. So yeah, you heard it correctly. This guy can shift themselves through time and space. Good, that's literally what we needed, right? Anyway, we move on to our story. Enjoy.
Bumping into an old friend isn't necessarily a good thing for a Sarkas. I may not be a Sarkas, but I know to come prepared. When you're a kid, you're naive and stupid. A little camaraderie is enough to get you handing over your heartfelt trust. Even if the place where you built that camaraderie stinks as bad as Casdell. Eventually, at some point, you grow up. Maybe it's the first time you kill someone, maybe it's the first time you almost bleed out, or maybe it's the first time you crawled out from under a piece of corpses. You start learning how to live in the grown-up world. You can be ruthless, you use any means necessary, you can even throw your friends under the bus just to live on, and nobody will hold it against you. And then that contrived plot comes around, and you bump into an old friend. Honestly, after all these years apart, even if you're old friends, do you really have that much to talk about? It's just, when you were young and stupid, you handed over that trust. You built a friendship. But when you're at that age, you have the unique opportunity to talk about friendship in Casdell without being laughed at.
Ursula, we're done unloading. They're counting everything in at the warehouse. Same as before. Steel, pure gold, originium, stuff like that. There hasn't been a personal transport in weeks. Sounds like most of the forces from the royal court in Castle are already here. That makes things easier on us. Back when the royal court guys were floating around, they'd come down here and complain to us. Made all sorts of trouble.
Stop. That's enough for now.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Commander, I've been posted to the way station for 6 months now. According to the rotation schedule, it's about time for me to,
I haven't received any new orders for you. But your performance speaks for itself. I could approve 3 days of leave for you.
Oh, our Ursula.
But don't let it go to your head. Make sure to stay grounded. All your life in Castle, you were a cobbler. Your greatest accomplishment is nailing souls together. What are you in the running for unless you're prepared to blow yourself up?
Ursula, you're no fun.
Get out of here, kid. I watch Ursula's profile, the corners of her mouth curling up. Thinking back to then. She carries herself the same way, at least. The young Sarkas cobbler approaches Hodor and slyly hands him a flask.
Hey, brother, hold on to this for me. Ursula can't go a day without the stuff. You're really something, man, walking around with this piece at your side, and still...
Watch your mouth, cobbler.
What's sweeter than honey? What's toxic as nightshade?
Looks like he hasn't even had his coming of age yet. Those years with Her Highness Therisis did a lot to see these kids grow up nice and sheltered. And now, he's in a war out here by Londinium. Huh. Brother and sister joined hands to create the worst joke in history. If only it wasn't a joke. If you open that notebook, I'm setting it on fire. Holderer quietly tucks away his notebook. You two haven't changed. That's nice. It's been years since that operation. Me, Holderer, and W, the old W, got ourselves into trouble, killed some people we shouldn't have killed. It's not just the scar market. Showing your faces in Kazdel would be trouble for you. I see your names there a lot, on the bounty lists. You're famous.
I've never been a cheap date.
Sure enough, Ines' investment paid off well. We were all so young. Getting old now. I'm a Sarkas, you're a sheep. In theory, I'm gonna live longer than you, Ines. We're all infected, so this isn't about racial lifespans. Good point. I'll drink to you and wish myself good health. I remember you used to say that if a Sarkas wants to live long, she needs to keep a clear head before somebody else trades it for coin. Whoever wants it can take it. Victorian, Sarkas, doesn't matter to me. She leans in close, sizing me up, then glances at Holderer. You've got wrinkles, Ines. I died 3 times and only got a few wrinkles to show for it. I should thank the myriad souls. You don't thank them. You're a sheep. As for Holderer, you're missing an eye.
Wanna see the socket? It's all thanks to the fine Cabernet woman right here.
Lose an eye or lose your head. You had a choice. I guess Ines broke her heart when she made the move.
Drop it. We're old friends getting together again. We get back to a nice atmosphere of sentimental nostalgia. Talk about days gone by, muse on the passing of time. We could talk about how you became the youngest major in the military commission, the driver of the Skeletor of Farenmut, Commander Ulshula.
Yes, we should talk about that. Otherwise, we being who we are, we shouldn't be so warm and friendly. And we could also talk about you, these 2 Sarkas. One Sarkas trader and one sheep. Why are you popping up at a secret military commission site? I know you were detained by General Manfred Holderer. And you, Ines, who disrupted their operations together with an obnoxious little girl planting bombs all around, stole into my territory in broad daylight. As an officer of the military commission, I can't very well let that go. It's 2 against 1 here, Ulshula. Is it? Remind me, where are we again? Huh, since when? The girl wasn't like this before. You're welcome to try, Ines. She's wearing a smile, but she's dead serious. The most important thing I've learned over the years is to be true to my decisions. And Therisis is your decision? No, the military commission is. You decided to go with Babel, or what is it called now? Rhode Island? And I decided to stand with the commission. We decided our paths a long time ago.
Ulshula, we can still...
No. I know what you want, Holderer. You haven't changed a bit. But we're not those kids who strutted around cheery for a whole day on the back of a single bounty anymore. We don't get to relax after our missions these days, no idle afternoons on the streets of Kazdel. We are Sarkas, or at least we're citizens of Kazdel. It's our responsibility to make those streets and alleys a better place.
Kazdel is the main issue here, Ulshula.
Then you've got to admit the military commission is the best choice we've got. Even Her Highness Theresa wouldn't disagree. It was the two royals who made Kazel into a magic city. The both of them who made it possible for us to even talk about the future of the Sarkas here. It was the same two royals who promoted me, giving a poor girl from the slums a chance to stand in the sight of the royal court among those pure and ancient bloodlines. Once trapped by naivety and compromise, the Sarkas lose our chance at the true homeland. There's no room for me to hesitate here. The military commission, it's the foundation for Kazdel to become a nation.
Will there even be a Kazel once this war is over?
All I know is, I'm no traitor. Sure, we were prepared to bump into this old friend from the beginning. Hodor tacitly crosses from my side to confront this stupid girl, the major of the military commission.
10 minutes, that's my limit. Get as much intel on that thing as you can.
I bypass several Sarkas blocking my way, shadows entwining their ankles. I leap up, climbing the nerve cluster of this terrifying creature, the slippery feeling making me slightly sick. Is this a Farron mood? I've never seen one before. Show me the secrets hiding in your mind. This isn't a good section to walk on. My luck has been pretty bad lately, always ending up in the body of some kind of monster. Last time it was the Revenant, this time it's whatever this is. I hope I don't have to jump off it this time. These nails piercing its spine must be some kind of witchcraft device. Are those nerve clusters trembling? Does this thing still have a will of its own?
She's here!
How are they so quick? They climbed up the skeleton in hot pursuit. The sinews between the bones become something like a ladder for them, with the splinters of fallen bones serving as their weapons. They know war. Ulshula's trained a real elite unit. But they could stand to work in some variety. All they've got on me is numbers. A foreboding instant pops into my head and I instinctively dodge to the side. A huge cluster of nerves comes crashing down, and the bone fragments I have been standing on shatter and crumble. It's so hard on itself. Looks like every bone fragment, every bundle of sinew here could be a deadly weapon. That's a pain. The nerve cluster wraps around again. I sink my dagger into it so hard that it recoils violently, carrying me high into the air. Alright, so it has the most basic of reflexes. Good enough. There's a cabin up ahead. Right there. With all my might I grab the dangling bundle of nerves and leap away. Dust everywhere from wind, weather, bone. This should be the center. No clear interface. Is it driven purely by witchcraft? A willing slave or a marionette controlled by strings? You dodged my arsiness. That should have gone right through your heart. You still haven't fixed that old habit of yours. Your casting always deviates a little to the left. Luckily, I've been on the bad end of that enough times. You in a hurry? Did Hodor make a fool out of you? It's fragile, isn't it? Not as honest as it seems. You're welcome to guess. If we get the chance, I'd like to hear about those 3 deaths you mentioned. Must be a thrilling story. You wanna try once? No, I'd rather us live. If you can make it through the chaos and live on, that is. A tremendous force flips me over. The nerve bundle sweeps away, trying to tug me with it. The Faramud is gradually swinging its body. They've built a lot of cabins here, and the thing tends to drift into space. What if the Faramud wanders when I'm not in one of the cabins? I really don't want to find out. I'm not Horderer. I'm not into becoming history. Shadows like blades sweep through the Hall of Bone. Save what's left of your dignity, Ines. There's no point. Your shadows can't protect you from the might of a Faramud. Battered bone dust takes flight again, filling my vision. Thanks for the reminder. Horderer! Oftentimes, even I have to admit that Horderer makes a pretty good partner. I'm actually glad we didn't betray each other. It's hard to find a Sarkis like him. The past was tough, and the future's gonna be tough too. The dim firelight rises with the dust, twisting. His figure emerges from the embers, sparks in the wind singe his cloak and my hair. And sometimes, only sometimes, I'm willing to tolerate his obnoxious arts.
We're well past the age when we can talk about friendship. But I'd rather live in a future Khasdal that keeps the silly naivety we always laughed at.
The turbulence is intensifying. I grab his hand. I forgot to tell you, Horderer. General Manfred gave me your book. It's pretty good, I have to admit. You gathered up the bits and pieces, arranged them in chronological order, thinking you found the thread. But you've been running all this time. Do you plan to do this forever? Drop it, Ursula. Time to say goodbye. Horderer, you're jumping with me this time. Don't get swept away by the turbulence of history. Never forget the present. The life that you're living.
You're the boss.
Boiling shadows point the way for us, scorched dust carrying us along. The illusions shift before our eyes. When I'm falling fast enough, I suddenly realize that history really does look pretty fragile and hypocritical. I see a vast and familiar battlefield, one of the war zones from Khasdal, where the flames are still burning. I recall the past. Horderer always wanted to steer clear of the war that tore apart his people. I forced myself to turn my head, while he is single-mindedly focused on finding a suitable landing zone. Run away from the war? Huh. We weren't at Babel when Her Highness came under attack. We could have left Khasdal straight away. Why did we go back for W? Why join Reunion? Why lay low in Londinium all this time? What is Horderer fighting for anyway? What am I fighting for? We break through the earth, the illusions vanish, and we see what was always there. He grabs my arm, telling me to be ready. Arts envelop us, and my vision clears. Shadows rise from the ground. Maybe we stopped running a long time ago.
Alright then. So, finally, the confirmation of, and no more speculation needed about Ines's race. She beat the goat. But yeah, Ines is a Caprine. I mean, it was kinda already obvious considering her E2 art and all of that. but was still a tiny bit hard to tell. But now we have the actual full-on confirmation, literally just told by Hoarder, just like that. Yep, she's a Cabernet. And Ursula can shut the hell up. She's not a sheep, she's the goat. Quite literally. And figuratively. Anyway, cool scene. Cool, very cool scene. But we shall now move on to our final cutscene for today. Quite literally just a cutscene. 13-9. Titled, Those Espying the Crown. It's no use fleeing. The bloodline's predestiny will always catch up in the end. The myriad souls lie prostrate. Howling knocks on the door from beneath. Tangible usurps the intangible. Quaesar Tushtai bears witness. The Black Crown imprisoned, the offender perpetually innocent. Because kings are born before immortality.
Is W back yet? No. The time she spent on this mission has already exceeded our worst-case calculations. How's Nightingale doing?
Shining looks past the window, and at Nightingale, sleeping soundly under the trees outside.
Not great. Liz has never been more stable than she is right now, but the amount of originium in her body is rising, and it's highly likely her nociceptors will be affected. This can't be an ordinary infection symptom. Perhaps it's due to the Sarka's witchcraft devices on the battlefield, or maybe the whispering of the Revenant. I don't know. There's no way I can tell Liz that I feel her pain, for I have no idea what's going on. But yesterday she was happily telling me how she hasn't been feeling any pain in her dreams for a long time now. You're hesitating. You've been like this ever since you returned from the Confessarius' place alone. Do you remember what you told me when you applied to come with me to Londinium? To heal Liz, Dr. Kaltzit. This goal I've never wavered on, ever. We may not know the exact status of her illness, but we all know what it means to heal her. The things we need to do will not change. On this I'm clear. I have faith in you both. The way you look at Nightingale isn't just with compassion. You're not just her doctor. She's healing your fears too. Her body has its issues, but she's a member of the followers, as well as your companion, and not a delicate flower that needs your protection. The Confessari secret is truly a sickening affair, but we might only be able to uncover the truth by facing the abomination lurking in the utmost depths head-on. I know you may be somewhat worried, but as I said when we first agreed to work together, Rhode Island will help you if you ever need a hand. Thank you, Dr. Kaltzit.
A blue fumblebeast chirps as it lands on Shining's shoulder. This is Liz's usual way of greeting her.
Liz is awake. I'll go fetch her. I'm fine, Shining. You don't have to look after me so meticulously. Liz, we were just discussing your condition, and there are some signs that aren't too great. The vicinity of Londinium has turned into a war zone, and there are some things that are affecting your health. Dr. Kaltzit and I are currently discussing our next course of action. This place is also just a temporary foothold. Shining, come here. Closer. Alright. Look at you. Why wear that face when you've already made up your mind? We can't run forever. The way things are now, we might as well confront them with our dignity intact, right? I know you'll stay with me, so I'd rather stay here and be a little more proactive. Liz. Be strong, Shining. Your brows have been knitted ever since you met with them. Are you nervous? Oh, right. While I was napping under the tree earlier, I had a dream. I think we were children walking in a stream. The water didn't even reach our calves. It was cold but very pleasant. We didn't speak, only walking along quietly. And then I woke up. I saw a strange foul beast pecking at its own plumage. It seemed to be pecking at its bruised-covered body until it was entirely covered in blood. It gazed at me with a pleading look in its eyes, crying as it huddled in its own nest, but it was not liquid pouring down its face, it was white wax. Even its mess of feathers was all frozen, and it was still chirping before it died.
Quisar Tushtai bears witness.
It was a strange melody that sounded like...
Quisar Tushtai bears witness. Nightingale starts to speak in an ancient Sarka's language.
Liz?
Shining spots a black fowl beast resting on the tree, weakly nesting on a crown made of dead branches. It looks back at Shining, and a trembling cry resounds from its syrinx, a rhythm permeating. In an ancient Sarka's language, a black feather floats from the crown of dead branches. It covers everyone's vision, despite its tiny size. You led me here, and so I've come to take you home, Liz.
Monster!
Return from whence you came. The structure is so fragile. It seems Therisis' blade is sharper than I imagined.
Watch out, Shining! It's fine, Liz. He can't harm me.
You've regressed. It would be a challenge to return your body to its peak condition. That will eat into my experimentation time.
To think you'd willingly leave that sordid lair of yours.
The black fowl beast rests on the dead branches of the Confessarius' hand. Its robust body is covered by an abundance of feathers, shining with luster. It was reborn so easily and instantly from corruption.
It seems like you're anxious about something as well.
We have already arrived at the gate. We've made great strides in our experiments, even just knocking softly on the door. You must attend the final ritual.
Monster, meltdown.
5 minutes will be enough, Salus. Stop her with your life. Do not let them hinder me.
Of course.
A black curtain of satin drapes down. It binds the howling monster in multiple layers, giving it less and less space to struggle.
Her arts are black? Is that Amia's? What have you done to her? No. They didn't defeat her. I should have been able to present the King of Sarkas to the leader unharmed. It's a pity. But no matter, even just getting a glimpse can let the fake take another step forward. So, little creature, don't disturb our leader at work. Follow me elsewhere to wait till he's done. Monster! Dr. Kaltsit, you're in no shape to exert yourself. I said last time that our next meeting would be on the battlefield.
Oh? Then why are you concealing your sword even now? You swore to sever your ties with our lineage when you left home, and this whole time I've been looking forward for you to return and fulfill your promise. I give you time, but you disappoint me again and again. We were supposed to produce the next me. We would have created the most intangible bloodline in the last 100 years. Sharp, but so impure. What's happened to your soul? Did you think you still had hope to cling on to after leaving us?
Liz! Come back! I won't let you manipulate me.
Oh? You're a creation that has surpassed my expectations. You're supposed to be just a shell, and yet you can touch me?
Now, Shining! I can't hold on much longer.
A strange feeling surges from within Shining. Nightingale is resisting the Confessarius, and even suppressing him. The ancient devil's soul has never manifested in such a vulnerable state before. Bloodline. The word itself sounds unreal, but at this moment there only seems to be an extensive crack of blood right in front of her eyes. But Shining hesitates. Why is this so simple? How could it be this simple?
Nightingale, stop. It's a trap. He's waiting for your arts to resonate.
Time slows down. Monster fights with Salus as Kaltsit yells out. Everything flows past like streams of light. Both you and I know where fate will lead us, but those without self-awareness will only trap themselves in their own pitiful cage. It's futile to despise your bloodline and resist your fate. No one can deny the natural gifts bestowed by our bloodline. I will do for you what you're hesitating to do, to crack an opening in the cage. Enter it with me, and I will bring you back onto the right track. Think it through before you make your choice. The Confessarius utters an ancient Sarka's name. A white sword pierces through a heart atop a stone platform covered with dead branches. Shining remembers the first time she cried. She remembers just how amazing it was, the birth of an unexpected emotion. A brand new soul is carved anew under the blade.
I've seen pain, your tears.
Accidents are bound to bring surprises. You could have stopped your explorations here and now, but you just can't bear to destroy the ignorant consciousness in that hollow shell. And so you sew memories into the empty husk instead.
She's Liz. She shouldn't.
You did this of your own free will. Filled up this consciousness with a name. With Liz. Liz is afraid of the completely silent person sitting across from her at the long table. They agree to sit here every night at the same hour for dinner together. But the wide-horned Sarkas opposite her with a sword in her hands no longer speaks or moves outside of recording her every action she can remember today. Liz always asks herself, have I done something to upset her? Liz misses the beautiful memories of how their lives were before.
I keep having the same dream every day. I dream of us as children, walking in a stream hand in hand. Then I flew upwards and kept going higher and higher. You couldn't hold me back, and I saw you crying from the clouds. Every time when I wish to return to your side, I always wake up in pain. I ache from your suffering, and I want to bear it for you. I just need you to tell me why you feel like this. Quisar Shinag.
Quisar Shinag. This name means inseparable hope. Our destiny. Poor Liz. She thinks it's all her fault because of the momentary kindness you showed her.
I've already abandoned that sinful name. I'm called Shining now, and will always be.
Is that so? Are you sure you can resist your family's destiny that has carried on for a millennium? I'm looking forward to it. Liz holds the blue foul beast rescued from the river in her hands. The indigo feathers are trembling, and the cold river water makes her shiver. She thought Quisar Shinag would get angry at her, but the sorrowful Sarkaz merely weaves a brand new birdcage for Liz. Put it inside, and it'll stay safe always.
I'm sorry, Quisar Shinag. I didn't mean to endanger myself by going into the river to save it. But I just couldn't watch it die. I became fond of it the moment your family gifted it to me. It likes to fly freely, but once it gets too far away from me, it seems to lose its life and falls into the river. You say I did something similar yesterday, but I have no recollection of that at all. But I'll listen to you and put it inside the cage. I'll keep it safe. Please don't get angry. I promise you something so foolish as this won't ever happen again.
The cage has finally accepted their own duty, and you have also realized your own destiny. The more fragments and lies you fill her up with, the more confusion and suffering she goes through. I've lifted those dusty fragments for her. There's no undoing her awakening, and eventually she will suffer as her rootless consciousness crumbles.
I won't let it happen, Father. I'll end our sins with my own hands, and Liz will be cured.
And what next? Isn't her regaining her truth the very thing you fear, my dear sister? This is the source of your woeful hesitation. I tolerate you wandering around with this receptacle, continuously strengthening this fragile cage, because I trust you to cherish it with your all, and you never disappoint me. Eventually you'll come back to my side with the cage in tow. That's what you've done. Look, she's even tried to cage me in, to create an opportunity for you to defeat me. Your rebellious love for her and her fate-resisting consciousness have sadly only become another catalyst together.
You even want to use the hope she found herself? Shining? Are you here? I can sense your breathing, but I can't see you. I'm here, Liz.
She can't hear your voice. We're walking within her tethered consciousness. Inside the cage. Shining sees the blue foul beast, huge enough to fill her vision. Giant grey eyes look down on her. She's unable to see herself reflected in those eyes. The foul beast's sharp beak opens and closes, A mellow voice trails in from nowhere.
Shining, there's a vague question echoing in my head together with a name that stings me, but I can't recall it at all. I might be able to remember it after we leave this place. I found I can share the pains of others and slow down their lives withering away. You said we'd go to faraway places to find a way to cure me, and maybe I can cure others in pain along the way too.
She's submerged in those disorderly and fragmented memories, and will eventually lose herself in them. Or perhaps she'll go mad, or maybe she'll end her own life before that happens. But you know how to solve this, Quisar Shinag. I've taught you. Draw your sword and cut down your blood relatives here and now. Our souls will reconnect with your sword as a bridge, and you will give birth to ancient power. This is your inescapable destiny. Become one with me and use the remains of your bloodkin to nourish your consciousness that will stay shattered otherwise.
Forgive me, Liz.
Shining clutches the sword in her arms, and the Confessarius's hand is already pressing on the scabbard. At last, Quisar Shinag. Day and night are about to pour out from the sheath. But a single hand holds onto Shining's sleeve.
Shining, I like your new name much better. Liz, I feel like I've slept for a long time, lost myself within an infinity of fragments. But I heard your voice, and you guided me to a place buried underneath the countless fragments. I dug up some of my splintered memories there, and I still haven't remembered them all. But I've recalled the question that I should have given you my answer to long ago. I forgave you long ago, even before you resolved to seal all the memories of that laboratory away. So I'm angry with you for deciding to act on your own without asking me. Liz, I've always loved the name you chose for me. Don't run away and bear everything by yourself. Didn't we promise to face it all together?
Shining sees Nightingale's eyes and her smile. When she comes back to her senses, the hand has already quietly slipped away from her sleeve. A tragedy we have here, but the ending has already been determined. You killing me will turn you into the breeding ground for the next in our bloodline, or you can look on helplessly as you watch me take her away and drown in your regrets after. It's all the same, sister.
Sir, we need to retreat.
How many bloodlines have you yet to touch, Chimera? Show me. How many times can you put blood back into your body and tell yourself your own fate? Your little monster's copy is quite poor. Is this because you're not as strong as you were before your rebirth? Or is Dame Katsid, beloved of all tribes, even more injured than I thought?
Quisar Tushtai, the other part has chosen you. So what will you bring him?
The name Quisar Tushtai itself is the answer. Confessarius in Ancient Sarkas, inextinguishable hope. Quisar Shinnag, the cage is already awake. If you continue to keep her by your side, she will only, like the dewdrops of early dawn, evaporate and fade away in the light. I will take her away, and I will help you maintain her. I will help you make amends. I will forge this cage into a crown. And then we will be the King of Sarkas for all eternity.
There is no point in chasing after him. Take stock of our losses and prepare to move at once. We still have unstabilized wounded, but our cover here has already been blown. Dr. Kalsit. Operator Nightingale is an employee of the Rhode Island Medical Department, and we will not allow anyone to take her away or to do her harm. But we might place her in greater danger if we make any rash moves. After all, we're facing an immortal Lord of Fiends that has been coveting the crown for thousands of years. Quisar Tushtai, the one who knocks on the door, the king of usurping kings. I knew the threat of the Confessaries since the days of Babel, even though my numerous countermeasure attempts were all in vain. Therisis concealed them so well that everyone merely thought of them as the Regent's guards. Please be at ease. I know what we have to do now. I thought you'd be less calm than this. What's your plan? Liz, she has made her own choice. A choice even I had never dared to think of. Daring, aggressive, and also the most effective method. It seems like the one afraid of loss and death has always been me. What I need to do, is to catch up to her. I believe in you both. How's Amia, Ascalon? She and the doctor were also beset by the Confessaris' surprise attack and are now with Logos. Amia has been affected by some kind of witchcraft. The one who they call Salos tried to seize the King of Sarkas' power from her directly and failed, but Amia's current condition is very strange. She's fallen into a coma. Amia's connection with the Lord of Fiends is only growing stronger, so we can only place our faith in her. We also discovered several of the vampire art circles, accompanied by some illusions from history. The doctor mentioned that the originium used to build these art circles was very special. Special. Well then, Lord Amatsi, I thank you for your assistance. What do you seek from us? We seek change, to hone ourselves, and meaning. We seek the meaning of living a long and disordered life. You will show it to us, and we will verify it. That's all. Tell Closure and Feist to sweep this place thoroughly. We leave in 3 hours. Leave a message for W to head towards Brentwood as per our original plans. We really have to hurry.
Hey, Uncle Noel! The lens in my glasses fell out again.
I've told you so many times your ears are too soft. You grip on the frame so hard every time you feel your glasses sliding down that you break and change their shape, so of course the lens won't stay in place. Let me have a look.
It's because you gave me such a heavy pair to wear. But I found a better method. Look!
Little Susanna pulls out 2 leaves from behind her and wedges these stems on her ears with the tips resting on her nose bridge. Ah, glasses of green, fashioned with leaves.
Ta-da! What do you think?
Can you see with them?
I can, really. Just face the sun like this.
The child goes over to Noel and puts 2 leaves on his eyes. Noel's vision is filled with a verdant green. Alright, kid, you...
Just look.
Leaf veins. The sunlight at noon in the forest is not very strong, but it is enough to shine through the thin leaves and reveal their interlaced veins, clear for all to see.
How is it? You can see, right? You won't see anything interesting with that frown always on your face, Uncle Noel.
He stares blankly at the sun with the leaves covering his eyes. I can't see anything at all. But I know of a story from Jan of the East, a tale of missing the forest for leaves.
Nuh-uh, not listening. You're as boring as ever, Uncle Noel.
The child with the glasses made of leaves comes and goes like a breeze, and disappears into the distant camp in the blink of an eye.
It seems like you don't get along with the children, Mr. Noel.
If it isn't Tallulah, done with work. I told that story to my son once. However, he didn't like hearing my stories either. Maybe I'm just not suited for it.
You have an abundance of experience, even if we only know of it from a smattering of phrases. An average, downtrodden Victorian optometrist who fled here after his shop was taken away from him amidst the war. He sympathizes with the infected who were being discriminated against, and so chose to join their group and help out a little with disabilities. You've always displayed a respectable character ever since I got to know you, Mr. Noel. But because of that,
Please, speak your mind, Tallulah.
I'm just curious why a long-lived like you would deign to conceal your identity and do such insignificant things. I noticed. Of course, this is still much better than the worst-case scenario I thought of. However, you can deny it, and we'll speak of it no more. I'll tell 9, though.
I won't. Noel smiles, plucks a leaf, and fiddles with it. There are actually many Victorians who I'm well acquainted with that know my identity. I only wish to avoid scaring my travel companions. But I'd like to correct you on one point, Tallulah. I'm not deigning to act like this. My longevity aside, I doubt I'm any more talented than ordinary people. The long-lived gain their longevity through different means, as diverse as the Originium arts they use. But we aren't always influential figures, Tallulah. In fact, I'm much more interested in your story. A descendant of the Red Dragon, founder of Reunion, and the leader of the infected movement that took off in Ursus. To think you'd still act so shrewdly towards a so-called long-lived.
Who exactly are you, Mr. Noel?
Just some guy. 150 years ago, I was telling my third son the fables I learned from my travels in Yan, and he left my side from impatience. And as I stood before his granddaughter's granddaughter, I was once again a stranger in a large family. So now I harbor anger and pain inside me, giving up entirely on both family and love as I try to locate the villain hiding in Victoria who manipulated my fate. I spent the last century researching the long-lived, the gods, the masterminds, the immemorials, and myself. I tried to benefit from the system of nobility, to hone my Originium arts, to accumulate wealth and exchange it for secrets. I tried every method you can fathom to get closer to the truth, but I haven't been successful at all. I didn't manage to become nobility or wealthy. I only had a little shop. That's all I really had. Combat ability-wise, I might not even be able to defeat Mr. Guard. Time has only taught me to recognize the reality that I hold no talents at all. That's the story of an ordinary person, Tallulah. This tale I can freely share with you. Noel drops the leaves that were in his hands, and the breeze blows them far away. He dusts himself off and picks up his suitcase once more. Please, rest assured, I hold no ill intent towards you all. I only wish to find the hands of fate that cursed me. She hides behind the country, treating her monarch as her glove, and the city-state as her chessboard. She merely looks upon everything labeled Victoria with a cold gaze. If needed, Victoria can even be destroyed and rebuilt, and topped off with a new flag after. How can I believe she isn't involved in our current turmoil of absurdity? She is definitely hiding within the Dukes, watching the Sarkas and Victorians engage in mutual slaughter. Bloodshed and sacrifice are merely heartless parameters and indicators to her. Perhaps you might have been manipulated by a similar pair of hands before. You have royal blood running through your veins, after all. She has no reason to let you nor Alistair's daughter go.
Me? I do know another conspirator, but he doesn't deserve to be called a god, nor can he manipulate my fate.
But that's exactly how they live on, Tallulah. I want to know how to kill them. Or perhaps, how to kill myself. It's getting late. I need to fix little Susanna's glasses.
Mr. Noel, you...
Tallulah, the reason why I willingly tell you all of this, and why I joined Reunion, do forgive my selfishness, it is due to the intuition I've honed by extra century I've lived. You two have resisted such a predetermined fate. All of you here have. Alright then, well, a lot of stuff happened in that cutscene. Background on Shining a Nightingale finally being unveiled properly. And the Confessarius and his agenda and plan and I just want to get this out of myself first, very quickly, before I say anything else. On original read, when I go through these before recording, I obviously already do like ad-libbed voice acting just to test the waters and see stuff. I'm so in the zone sometimes, but I'll say this. On the one sentence where that goddamn ass had to say the lines of Shining having to carry out the next hymn, that she will conceive the next hymn, or oh my god, the moment he started talking about that, I think I don't even know what happened. I just remember that I stopped reading, I put my headphones down, I stood up and I walked through the house for like 5 minutes. I just had to. I was gone. That just went with my brain, and I was like, no, stop, just delete him. Like, bottom line, as a villain character, as an opponent, I like him. He definitely has a presence. But the way he's doing, the way he's going about shit and stuff like that, can we get another giant beam that is enough to break through the barrier and kind of place him in front of the beam, and hopefully the beam is gonna be so strong that not even atoms are gonna be or his soul left. Can we do that? Ugh. I shit you not, that shit triggers me a lot. Stuff like that. Like, I get it, he's a villain, blah 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 blah. But when stuff like this comes up, I'm just like, immediately convulsing. Nope. Nope. Hope I'm not the only one there, but anyway. Very interesting overall. I do wonder where this is gonna go. Also, the other Damazi is with us now. Oh boy. Oh boy, each side gets a Damazi. Well, that's fun. Is it fun? I don't know. It's very weird. Also, that sent me for a loop when that second monster was there and facing off against Cultist's monster. Kinda weirdly, they were growling together. I was very confused for a split second. That was amazing. But anyway. That is very interesting that he can also copy monster. I mean, it's not unheard of, but considering that he can basically transform into any kind of, you know, I was under the impression that it's only, well, I guess monster is a living organism in that sense then, if he can transform into it. I mean, monster is kind of a living organism, but also very mechanical in some sense. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, it's cool. That was very cool, and I kind of wonder where the Damazi thread is gonna go from here, and pretty much everything else. I do wonder if the rest of the chapter is gonna... Probably not. I don't think the rest of the chapter will dive more into Nightingale and Shining. I would love a tiny bit more, just a tiny bit more, but probably not during this chapter. We're probably gonna have to wait until the next one, but that is predictions. I do not know, as you can see. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Hopefully this rant at the end about the Confessari was not overdone. Oh, by the way, before I leave you guys off, I hope that is the way you are pronouncing those two names for Shining and for him. So once again, the names being Quisartushtai and Quisar Shinag. Quisar Shinag, pardon. I hope that's the way you pronounce them. I did notice that a lot of these Sarka's names are using a lot of letters from Croatian alphabet. And specifically in this case, I'm talking about the little S with the little V on top. In my language, that is pronounced as a sh. Pretty much the same thing. I think in German it's a combination, for example, of the letters SCH. For example, Schule, aka school, and I guess mentioning it in English as well, kinda similar as well. Combo of letters in English being SC, probably H as well for that same sound. I am actually not 100% sure. Or SH, I guess, just in English. I'm actually not sure at this point. But yeah, we have a single letter for that. Sucks to be you guys. Sorry. But yeah, I've noticed that. And in another place we had the letter ch as well, which is very surprising that they're using that much. Maybe not that surprising that they're using a lot of an alphabet that I'm familiar with. So I do hope that is the way you pronounce it, but I have no reference for the pronunciation. So I just went with something ad-libbed. At least I'm very sure that the sh is a sh. But anyway, pardon. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please consider leaving a like. It would help me out a lot and mean a lot, of course. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There is a lot more on the channel than just the main story. And if you want to support me and my work more directly, there are memberships on the channel. And like I always say, there will be no video behind a membership. It's literally just there to... It's pretty much just a tipping jar. A monthly tipping jar. Of sorts. But yeah, thank you very much. Hope you're looking forward to the next part. I definitely am looking forward to what comes next and the rest of this chapter and where we're gonna leave off. Also, as a quick side note, before I end the video fully, considering that as of this recording, I have seen that the next big Bible-esque sized side story will be released literally next week, I will try and finish this off at least by Sunday or Monday so that next week we can focus on Zwillingsstürme and see what the Germans are about. And Arturia. And Viviana. But anyway, that will be for next week. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.